You're listening to the Just Japan podcast. Everything you want to know about Japan.
Hey there, folks, and welcome to episode number 149 of the Just Japan podcast. Everything you want to know about Japan. This is the weekly podcast that brings you all things Japan, the culture, the history, the food, the drinks, the martial arts, the pop culture, the you name it. Every week, a different topic. All right, so this week we've got a really fun topic. Very timely topic. We're talking about sumo wrestling. That's right, sumo wrestling. It's the second episode of the Just Japan podcast where we talk about the famous Japanese sport of sumo wrestling. And that's because right now, as I record this, the Osaka Sumo Basho is happening. The 2017 Osaka Sumo Basho. And it's a really exciting one, more than others in the past, because there's a new man in town, a new kid on the block, in a way. There's a new Yokozuna. That's right, Kisenasato, the first Japanese Yokozuna or Grand Champion in almost 20 years. And people are really excited. A lot more people in Japan are following this basho than in other bashos. Basho, by the way, means tournament. I myself and a bunch of coworkers tried to get tickets for this tournament and were unable to. That's right, we couldn't do it. And we're all on holiday right now, which means we can go 7 days a week. We can go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But even on those weekdays, everything was sold out, which is unusual because I've gone to the Basho before and it was never an issue to get tickets. But again, so of course, when I want to talk about sumo, hey, I know a little bit, but I know someone who knows a lot more, and that would be Mr. Jason Harris. Mr. Jason Harris, he's a guy who was on the podcast before talking about sumo wrestling. He's got Jason's All Japan Sumo Wrestling channel on YouTube. Hey, I don't know any guys who know more about sumo than Jason does. So I asked him to come on the podcast and tell us about Kisenasato and the Osaka Sumo Basho. All right, folks, of course, you can always find the Just Japan podcast on all major podcatchers. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, SoundCloud, you name it. Just do a search on Google, on the Googles, for Just Japan podcast, and you can find out how to listen to us. Or go to the home of the Just Japan podcast, justjapanstuff.com. Posted some great new articles on justjapanstuff.com this week. We got one about where I'm jokingly talking about 5 maddening things about Japan. And ironically enough, that post about 5 maddening things about Japan, I couldn't actually post it on Facebook. I kept saying that it was spam. I tried posting on several different accounts from my computer, mobile device. I couldn't do it. It just kept saying it was spam. It was spam. I couldn't post it. So go to Just Japan Stuff. You can read that one. I got an article about, I wrote about 10 reasons why you should come to Kobe, Japan. Got some stuff about food there. Got some stuff about just, is Japan as awesome as we think it is? Or we dream it up to be? And got some other just a lot of content there. There's the podcast, but go to justjapanstuff.com because there's a lot of great articles about Japan. Some I've written, some are written by guest posters and guest bloggers, trying to turn Just Japan Stuff into something more than just the podcast page. And it is really turning out that way, and the traffic is going up. So please go over there, bookmark that site, share justjapanstuff.com with your friends, the people you know who like Japan stuff. It'll make them happy. Oh yeah. Real happy. Okay, folks, these links will all be in the show notes for this episode of the podcast, episode number 149 over at justjapanstuff.com. But as you guys know, for the last year, I have been a Kobe PR ambassador, City of Kobe Public Relations ambassador. And essentially what that is a group of myself and 18 other foreigners who live here in Japan. We live in Japan, we work in Japan, we study in Japan. We're English speakers, and we basically, with our free time, explore Japan and share it on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter. That's what we do. We're trying to promote the city of Kobe and get more people to come here and visit here because it's freaking awesome. Now, of course, there's no shortage of visitors from other Asian countries coming to Kobe. Definitely, the numbers of Chinese visitors and Korean visitors continues to skyrocket every month, every year. But what we're trying to do as Kobe PR ambassadors is encourage more Western, European, North American, South American, Scandinavian, African, English-speaking tourists to come to the city of Kobe. A lot of people, when they think about Kobe, they think about when they think about Japan, they automatically think about Tokyo, Kyoto, but a lot of people don't think about Kobe. So we want you to come here and visit. And that's why I wrote earlier today, I'm recording this on the 12th, I wrote an article on justjapanstuff.com about 10 reasons why you should come to Kobe. So go check that out. But I'm also going to be posting in the show notes for this episode some awesome videos. My family and I took part in a promotional video, a tourism promotional video to promote agritourism or agricultural tourism here in Kobe. So if you go to harvestkobe.jp, and that link will be in the show notes. You can go check out my video with my family. You can see my wife and my kids, Kai and Rena, are in there. We did a video promoting persimmon picking. There's some other great videos in there about picking strawberries, pears, and grapes, because that's a really awesome thing that you can do here in Kobe, Japan. You can come here and you can experience the coolness, the awesomeness of the city, but then you can get away into the mountains, visit some farms, and pick fruit, pick vegetables, get connected with the agricultural side, because it's one very cool thing about the city is that we've got the city, the urban area, but there's nature right in there. There's farms within city limits, and we're trying to really promote people to visit them, and encourage people to get involved in agriculture, like just to explore that side of Japan. A lot of people don't do that when they come to Japan. So go to harvestkobe.jp, check it out, and I'll also put the extra links to my video in the show notes and the videos of the other fine Kobe PR ambassadors who took place in this awesome project. All right, without further ado, let's get into some sumo talk with Jason Harris, the man who knows about sumo here in Japan.
Please hang up and try again.
Folks out there in Just Japan podcast land, I'm very happy to have a returning guest to the podcast, but someone who's not been here in quite a long time. A man who knows a lot about sumo wrestling, Mr. Jason Harris.
Hello, everyone, and I'm glad you're listening.
Yes, and I'm glad that they're listening to you, and I'm glad that you're here. So, I wanted to have Jason on the podcast because, I live in the Kansai region of Japan, in Kobe, and right now, actually, we're recording this on the 12th of March, Sunday.
Yes.
The first day of the annual Osaka Sumo Basho has just been completed.
Right.
And I missed it all today. So
no.
yeah, missed it all. So I'll get a recap from you about today, and then the reason why I wanted to talk to Jason was to find out, for all of you who may be new to sumo, a little bit about sumo, but about the Osaka Basho, and there's been a lot of news going on, especially with a certain wrestler.
Yes.
Yeah. So before we jump into that, for those who may be new to the podcast and may not be familiar with you, Jason, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do in Japan?
Well, I'm originally from America. I moved to Japan in 2004, and I've been a teacher at various institutions, university, JET ALT, and now at a private high school where I teach history. And during all that time, the one constant has been my love of sumo. I have started a channel on YouTube where people can go and watch sumo in English, and it's gotten more and more popular over the past 3 or 4 years.
Nice.
As has sumo. It's kind of resurged in popularity since the lows of 2011 when we had some scandal and we had the massive earthquake and tsunami here in Japan. But it's bounced back, and one of the main reasons is the man we're about to talk about, Japanese-born Kisenasato.
That's right. We're going to be talking about this guy coming up soon. But first, before we jump into that, I'm curious, how did your love affair with sumo begin? Where did that start? Where did it spawn?
The simple answer is that when I was an ALT, I would get off work most days at 4:30,
Okay.
and I lived fairly close to school, so I'd be home before 5. And I lived in very, very rural Shimane-ken, I got maybe 5 channels on my television,
Okay.
and they're all in Japanese, of course, but the NHK does do an English simulcast every day from 4 to 6 p.m. on Sumo, which is basically the upper division matches. So you can hit a button on your remote control if you live in Japan and watch the footage in English.
Which is what I do.
And
I do that too.
yeah, and so I discovered that, and it was like a little nice oasis of English in my 24 hours of hearing nothing but Japanese most of the time. And I just got addicted slowly over time, just watching each basho. There's 6 of them a year, every odd numbered month. So it's a steady diet if you get into it.
Hmm.
And yeah, I started out obviously knowing nothing. I'd never seen it before growing up in America, but I love it now. It's my number one favorite thing.
Awesome. And you've got quite a following now on your sumo YouTube channel. So I know that obviously, I know you from the early days of Japan video blogging and all that stuff, where YouTubers back in the day.
Right.
But, so you've had a few YouTube channels, but
Uh-huh.
how did the sumo one come about? Why did you decide to put that together? And can you tell me a little bit about the kind of growth and popularity of your sumo channel?
Sure. So I started blogging just about living and working in Japan 10 years ago in 2007. And I have a channel called My Argonauts where I got popular for a while talking about how to become a jet, which
Hmm.
is a type of teacher that you can become if you want to come and live here in Japan, the jet program. And while I was doing those videos, the sumo was happening. And I just said, this is Japanese culture. Maybe I'll put up a video or two, and I would just point my rudimentary camera at the television and sort of talk over the video, and those videos have always remained popular. And eventually I said, you know what, instead of just doing 1 or 2 videos during the 15 days, let me try to do at least 1 or 2 videos every day.
Mm.
And I said, you know what, but that material is so different than everything else in the subscriber feeds. There's some people that like my videos about Japan that don't want to watch sumo. So let me create a separate channel. And that's what I did in about 2010. And it's just slowly grown. I've got over 5 million views now. I think I'm about to pass 14,000 subscribers.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it's really gratifying. People from all over the world, a lot of people that used to live in Japan at one time or have been to Japan. And, obviously it's very hard to find sumo uh, on any kind of, regular basis in other countries.
Yeah.
So YouTube is one of the few places they can turn. And NHK has slowly stepped up their efforts. They now offer a once a day half hour kind of highlight show that's in English on NHK World. So that's great. That's just come about in the past year. So they're finally kind of catching on to, hey, we need to offer more to this large community of people that love sumo but can't access NHK or don't speak Japanese.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully my channel will stick around, and I've got a great community of fans that are very helpful to each other. They answer questions in the comments, and I'm just so pleased that they all have come along and found sumo and watch it with me. It's like watching somebody on the couch next to me that I get to talk to while I'm watching sumo.
Awesome. Nice. Um, you know, you like you said, you've got this community now, that's really interested in things. And I think right now, this tournament, I'm sure your community is more interested than probably most tournaments in the past.
Hmm.
I will, and as I set this up to talk about Kisenasato, I've been to the Osaka Basho a couple of times to watch
Oh, good.
matches. Always a delightful, wonderful, fun experience to actually go to live sumo.
Hmm.
This year, however, myself and a group of colleagues looked into getting tickets about a month ago, and not a snowball's chance in hell.
Nope.
Every single day of the tournament, even like I'm on a holiday now, so I'm on holiday until April, as are my coworkers. So we
Hmm.
could go on a Monday, or no, we're not talking just like the weekends,
Yeah.
like the Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it is, we're available to go. We like just booked solid, everything sold out the whole tournament.
Yeah. On like the first day,
Yeah, and
tickets went on sale. Yeah.
and and in the past, it was not a problem at all to get tickets.
No.
for weekday matches. So why is that, good sir?
Well, what's happened is we've had a very dominant Yokozuna. His name is Hakuho. He's from Mongolia. He became a Yokozuna in 2007 and really has had a stranglehold on winning the tournaments each time. He's won an amazing amount of them now. And that's finally started to ease off. He's not quite as dominant as he once was. And for the first time last year, we had a Japanese rikishi, a Japanese wrestler, win a tournament for the first time since 2004, I believe, was the last time a Japanese rikishi had won. And that was Kodo Shogiku, and he won in January, and it was kind of like it had been like 10 years. And then we had Goedo and Ozeki win his first basho last year, and then Kisenasato won the very first tournament of this year in January. So more people are winning. It's creating more interest. It feels like, Hakuho's not going to always just be the default winner every time, that other people have a chance. And then, of course, if you want to get into it, we can talk about Kisenasato specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Kisenasato. You tell us a little bit about him and kind of his history in sumo and where he started, where he is now.
Yeah, so he has been in the upper division for a long time, about 73 tournaments, in fact, and there's 6 a year, so do the math, that's over 10 years. And he's been in Ozeki for about 5 years, about 30 tournaments. And he's just one of these guys that would always get really close, like he'd get 12 wins out of 15 or 13 wins out of 15, matches, and just not get the championship. Somebody else would get 14-1 or a 15-0, or he'd fight in a playoff and lose. And he was runner up like 10 times, and he just could never seem to like hold it together to win. But he's Japanese, and so there was a lot of support for him. And finally, he pushed through in January and was able to win a Yusho. Now, generally in sumo, the notion is if you want to be promoted to the top rank of Yokozuna, which there were 3 of them, you have to win 2 tournaments back to back. Like you have to win the November tournament and then the January tournament, or the May tournament and then the July tournament.
Okay.
And he hadn't done that. He didn't win in November, but he was runner-up. And if you look, he got the most wins in the calendar year of 2016 than any wrestler.
Even more than Hakuho. Really? Wow.
Yeah. So that combined with his win in January, they decided to go ahead and give him the Yokozuna promotion. So there's a lot of people that are like, well, he didn't quite do what most of them have had to do to be a Yokozuna, but he can silence a lot of that if he wins this basho here in March in Osaka. And he's about 30 years old, so he's not young. Like I said, he's been in sumo a long time, but he's still got plenty of time to rack up some wins. And of course, the major thing is that the last time we've had a active Japanese Yokozuna was a man named Takanohana, and he retired in January of 2003. We then had a guy named Asashoru, a Mongolian, and then Hakuho. We've had Haruma Fuji and Kakeru. All 4 of those guys are Mongolian. So the Japanese fans have really wanted a homegrown wrestler to be the top-ranked guy in the sport, and now they finally have it. And now we have 4 Yokozuna, which hasn't happened since the year 2000 was the last time, and it was the 4 active Yokozuna then were Takanohana, Akebono, Musashi Maru, and Wakanohana.
Okay.
So it's quite a lot. There's interesting things are happening at this basho. And just to get really geeky and top it all off, we have an interesting situation with an Ozeki, the second highest rank, named Kodo Shogiku, who didn't get enough wins to stay at that rank last tournament. So he gets this special one-time chance. He goes down a rank to Sekewake, and he has to get 10 wins out of 15 matches. If he can do that, he bounces back up to Ozeki automatically. If not, most people say he'll probably retire from the sport. So there's a lot going on this basho, a lot to keep you interested in tuning in every day, and I hope I hope it's an exciting basho.
Wow. A lot of stuff there. A lot of interesting
Yeah,
things. Now, some things I'm curious about. I know even my wife and I were discussing this. Obviously, now you've already mentioned that there's this Ozeki right now, the second ranked, level, he was relegated down a level to Sekewake. Now,
right.
once you become a Yokozuna, and here's something my wife and I were discussing, you can't get relegated down a level, right? You are a Yokozuna forever, aren't you?
Right.
Unless you retire.
Right. If you don't perform well, and this has happened to some Yokozuna, that have been Yokozuna even less than a year. If you don't perform well at the rank, if that was the peak, was you getting to the rank and you just flatten out after that, they put pressure on you and you retire.
Okay.
There is no going back down or starting over or anything like that. So yeah, once you're a Yokozuna, you get that rank forever and you're always called that. And that then there are Yokozuna who've attained the rank. It's rare and have never won a tournament after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it does happen to some guys. It used to be before Hakuho. It used to be if you won 10 tournaments as a Yokozuna, that was huge. That put you in the record books. And Asashoru came along and won 25 in his time. And at the time, people were like, 25, damn, that put him like number 3 on the list behind like two legendary Yokozuna from days past, Chiono Fuji and Taiho. And, Taiho was at 32. And people thought, oh, that 32, that'll never be broken. And now we have Hakuho who came along. He currently has 36. He broke that record wide open. He said that he wants to go for 40. And he's about to go up on the list, I think number 3 on longevity. He's been a Yokozuna for 58 basho, so just too shy of 10 years. And if he gets to 60 this year, which he should, unless his arm falls off or something, he will go up to number 2 on the list there. So every record is being shattered by this guy, and but all attention is off. Nobody cares about Hakuho right now. It's all about Kisenasato
Yeah.
and what he's going to do this basho. So, especially from the Japanese fans and Japanese press.
Which is why, like I mentioned, you can't get a ticket to the Osaka Basho.
Right. Plus, Kisenasato is kind of considered a kind of an Osaka guy. I think his hometown is either near Osaka or fairly close. So it's like his hometown basho.
Yeah, So it's okay. So when it comes to Hakuho, by the way, or I was thinking back to Aso Shoryu. There's someone I haven't talked about in a long time. So he really, obviously he had a lot of personal issues outside of the ring, but
He did.
I don't know. I really thought that he was still very much still in the prime of his career when he had to leave sumo.
Yeah.
And he probably would have. And at the time, he was much more of a powerhouse than Hakuho. I found like at the time when I was like near the end of his before he had to retire, when I would watch those tournaments, he definitely was the dominator. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was the sole Yokozuna for. I started watching in 2004, and he was the only Yokozuna at the time, and so I thought there could only be one. And it wasn't until 3 years later in 2007 when we finally got a second one. So for 3 years, he was it. And one thing he did in 2005, which Hakuho has never done, is he won every tournament in that calendar year, all 6 in a row, including the previous November, 7 in a row. Now, Hakuho has won 7 in a row before, but not all in the same calendar year. He's never gotten 8, though, so that's a record he shares with Asashoru. Yeah, it's he was definitely very dominant, and he was my favorite guy for a long time. He was so flashy and fun and entertaining to watch. Hakuho is definitely more the dignified. He takes it very seriously, etc. Different style than Asashoru, which is great. That's what you need in a good rivalry. And they were good rivals for about 3 years until Asashoru retired in 2010. He went out under a little bit of a cloud of a thing where he'd gotten in a bar fight and supposedly punched a guy. And They just don't like that here in Japan. And, unlike some of the rikishi that come from foreign countries, like, say, Koto Oshu from Bulgaria, who married a Japanese woman and has become a coach and stayed here in Japan, Asashoro, as soon as he retired, he went back to Mongolia. He has no love lost with the country of Japan.
Yeah.
So, that obviously plays to fans in a certain way, but you can't deny his talent. He was an amazing Yokozuna, and I was glad that I started under watching him because it was just so much fun.
Wow. Oh, by the way, speaking of Kotoshu, I just read, excuse me, an article that was published, I think, the beginning of this month in the Japan Times that Kotoshu, who is now a Japanese citizen,
Right.
he's left his stable and he's starting his own stable,
That's right. I think I heard that. Yeah.
which is interesting. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, they do that sometimes. They split up because he wasn't the main coach in his stable. He was kind of like the second in command. So maybe he wanted to be in total control, and you can try to do that, and recruit wrestlers and try to get them into the system and hope they go up the Banzuke and achieve success.
Yeah. Cool. So Kisenasato is the man to watch for this tournament. What do you now? I mean, hey, you're the student of sumo. You're the
Uh,
person who watches and follows it. What are your thoughts on this basho? Do you think Kisenasato going into this has a good chance?
well, it's funny that you asked me that because, and I should really quick for the people that are listening that know sumo, I should correct myself. Kiseno Sato is not from Osaka. He's from Ibaraki Ken. I just looked it up on my phone really quick to double check myself.
Okay,
So he's
that's
not from Osaka.
that's north of Tokyo. Okay.
Yeah, it's much closer to Tokyo. So I was wrong there. But anyway, if you'd asked me 3 hours ago before the day's matches went, I would have said it was probably a good chance that Hakuho is going to bounce back. We've also got a healthy Kakeru, a healthy Haramafuji back. Um, it's rare for a guy to get promoted to Yokozuna and then win the Basho, where his debut. There's jitters. He did a lot of partying. Maybe he didn't get as much practice in. Yada yada yada. But today, both Haramafuji and Hakuho lost
Oh,
on
really?
day one. Yeah. So it's I think it's going to be a wild, crazy Basho, and I really don't know who's going to emerge victorious. It's obviously still way too early to really say, but Kisenasato looked good today. He didn't look jittery. He had a tough opponent, and he won well. So yeah, it's just the fans are definitely going to be behind him. Cheering his every move. So if he can gather all that as a positive and help himself that way, I think it'll be a great basho and a lot of fun to watch.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching over the next few days that I'll be actually home. I'm home on vacation, so I guess the Osaka Basho is the one tournament I get to actually see some of. um, now,
Yeah.
I'm curious with regards to just kind of your thoughts and impressions. We've got four Yokozunas right now: Hakuho, Haramafuji. They've been there for a while.
Right.
Would you? I don't know. Again, here's something my wife and I talk about. We know that she's interested in sumo, and we talk about Hakuho. Obviously, he's been the dominant fighter for a long time. But would you say that Hakuho and maybe Hanamafuji are in the twilight years of their careers?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think you're going to see Hakuho win 4 out of 6 basho anymore, or even, definitely not 5 or 6. He might get half this year in 2017, 3 of the 6 basho. Um, I definitely think he's got some targets in his brain. He had joked that he would like to still be a Yokozuna and represent Japan in some way when the 2020 Olympics happen. And, who knows how sumo will fit into the opening ceremony, et cetera, et cetera. It's obviously not a sport in the Olympics, but that's a ways off. And he just had his 32nd birthday. His birthday, unfortunately for him, is 3/11. It was
Oh, really?
yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which is, a somber day in Japan for a lot of
Yeah.
people. But anyway, so he's not that old. I mean, he's only 2 years older than Kiseno Sato. And but 32 in sumo years is a little bit on the older side. And but I mean, you can't count him out. He hurt his big toe last year, and he's come back from that injury, and he hasn't quite wrestled at the same level. So we're kind of wondering, is he fully back yet? Today's match would seem to indicate possibly not. Did he just stumble, or was it a problem with the big toe? People will talk about that as they watch the replays. But yeah, it's Hanamafuji certainly has not put up great Yokozuna numbers in the past year. So we want some fresh air. We want some, new guys to come up. We're getting some of them in Shodai and Mitakeumi and Ishiura and, some of these guys coming up. Unfortunately, not, people like Terano Fuji, who seems to have had a bad injury that he's never recovered from. So passing of the torch could happen, but we need someone to pass it to. And we don't have those young guys around 24, 25 yet that are really ready to take over. So I think Hakuho is going to hang in there for at least another couple years.
Okay. Oh, cool. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Hakuho.
Yeah.
I think I've always liked the fact that after, getting introduced to sumo during the Asashoryu days where he would visibly show his celebration after a victory, I always liked that kind of the demeanor of Hakuho, the kind of respectful demeanor that he had. And I think that's probably why he was so popular with Japanese people.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what? Oh, by the way, I'm just quickly looking at Kisenasato's bio on Wikipedia, and it says it says he was actually born in Ashiya, Hyogo, which is right outside of Osaka, but moved to Ibaraki when he was 2.
So maybe people.
Maybe
I mean, certainly the crowd is going to be for him no matter what.
I think just at the end of the day, he's the first Japanese Yokozuna in 20 years, and a lot of people just want to go and see that, right?
Yeah, yeah. And he means the same guy. It's not like he has. He fought a guy today that he's fought like 50 times. Before. So it's not like he's some revolutionary new person or he's changed a lot. But the title demands a certain amount of respect, and then the fans are just happy that he's up there amongst the best now, and they can look to one of their own. And I think a little bit, if you want to say this, is Hakuho, broke some big records in the past year or so, including the all-time wins record, which I mentioned. He beat Chiono Fuji and Taiho and went past them to get 33 Yusho. And I think he thought the Japanese fans would be more like, oh my God, you are the best of all time. It's obvious now, you are the greatest. And they haven't really embraced him in that way. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he isn't Japanese. And that's got to sting a little because, he's given his life to sumo. He's been doing it since he was 15. And, but still, as you and I know, as people that have lived here a long time that aren't Japanese, if you aren't Japanese, you're never going to be Japanese. And there's some barrier there that just can never erase, no matter how well you know the language or what you do or who you marry. And he hit that, and I think it really hit him hard for a little while. But he bounced back, and now he's got some personal goals. I think, like I said, he wants to get 40 championships, etc. So he's going to wrestle hard, and certainly he wants to go out on top. And he's got so many amazing records. There's no denying he's one of the best of all time.
Cool. So Osaka tournament. Who do you? And I know it's only the first day, and a lot can happen in 2 weeks of wrestling. But who are you putting your money on to win this tournament?
Oh boy, that's a tough question. I'm running a contest on my channel. I do this a lot of the times where you have to pick 3 wrestlers.
Okay.
You can pick one Yokozuna, one guy from sort of the next 3 ranks, and then one regular ranked wrestler. And we add up their scores at the end of the 15 days, and whoever adds up to the best combined score out of the 3 you pick, I give away prizes on my channel.
So basically a sumo pool.
Yeah, and so I've had 250 people enter the contest or something, I think, so far.
Wow, no way, wow, that's huge.
Yeah. So it's getting very popular, and people enjoy it. It gives them someone to root for. And a lot of people picked Hakuho, of course. I limit them; they can only pick one Yokozuna, and I don't know. He could easily bounce back and go 14-1 and shut me up. But if I had to pick somebody right now, I think I'd have to pick Kisenasato out of the four Yokozuna, and then Takayasu is going to be strong this tournament. He's in the Sanyaku. And out of the rank and file, boy, I don't know. I like Ikioi. I think my man Okinoumi could have a good tournament because he's kind of in the middle of the pack, and he might fight some, fairly low ranked guys that he should easily beat. And then this guy making his debut from Jurio named Ura, Ura. Has a lot of technique in his bag. He won on his very first day in the division, and he could be a lot of fun and easily get double-digit wins. So, it's going to be a fun basho, and I would hate to try to predict right now.
Wow. So it's the tournament's on. We'll be watching. You'll be watching every day. I know that. I know the people who are really interested will be watching every day. How can people find sumo on your YouTube channel? So basically, how can they find your YouTube channel, and how can they find you on the social media?
I think it's funny. I joke, but it literally the easiest way is if you just go to YouTube, and there's that little what do you call it, a magnifying glass thing where you hit and you can search. If you literally just type in Jason and Sumo, my channel comes up. So that's the easiest way. The actual official title is Jason's in Japan, Jasons in Japan. And Jason's All Sumo Channel, I think, also gets you there. And then, on Twitter, at Taisha Jason, Taisha Jason. I tweet a lot about sumo. I retweet from other people. And then the links that I post when I post my videos, if you kind of want to know when they happen and they get posted to YouTube, the link automatically goes to Twitter. So those are two good ways to keep track of what's going on my channel. And some days I don't get match by match. Life comes in. I'm a teacher. I'm not finished on spring break yet. I put up highlights. I tape the NHK show that's on at like 3 a.m, where you get every wrestler and just a little tiny bit of their matches from the Tachiai. And I put those up so you get to see everybody in the upper division. But normally I put up 4 or 5 videos a day, just the top ranked guys for the most part. And I add my comments and we watch it in English together. And so that's the appeal.
Cool. Right on. Well, Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by the podcast.
No worries.
It's been a long time. We're happy to have you back. And,
we'll have to try to go see sumo again sometime. Maybe next year we'll have to try to get tickets.
Yes, I would. This year, not a chance. But
not a chance.
not a chance getting tickets. But so you enjoy the rest of this tournament, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
All right. Thanks to everyone for listening, and thanks for having me.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...
All right, I want to thank Jason for taking the time to stop by the Just Japan podcast yet again and talk about Kisenasato, the Osaka Sumo Basho, all of that sumo goodness. Go check out all of the links we talked about. You can contact Jason by checking out the show notes for episode number 149 at justjapanstuff.com. All right, now we're going to jump right into a mailbag section of the podcast. I asked you guys to post some questions online on the Facebook page. If you're curious about, to learn anything new about Japan. And Joseph Ka asked me an interesting question. He said, how easy is it to get to observe Keiko practice to see your favorite Rikishi? So Rikishi is a sumo wrestler, sumo fighter. Keiko practice would be their morning kind of regular practice. Now, I think first of all, you have to be located somewhere where there's going to be a grand tournament. And I've seen some sites online that have information in English about where you can do this. I'm going to assume if you want to see like regular Keiko practice, the regular sumo practice at a stable. Number one, you're gonna have to live near a stable or know where a stable is, and then maybe contact them. I don't know. I've never even thought about that. As far as seeing your favorite rikishi, the only rikishis I really know of are the ones who are kind of in the top tiered ones. And basically, what you need to do is go to a basho, and the basho, before the basho begins the tournament that day, you get the tickets. You wait outside in the main entrance, and all of the wrestlers get dropped off in taxis or chauffeured cars, depending on how high up they are on their level. And they all kind of do a walk through the crowd into the main entrance, and you get to see everybody. I've experienced that a couple of times before at the Osaka Basho, and it was really freaking cool. See them walking through with their giant yukatas on, and oh, it's neat, man. It's neat. So basically, hanging around out in front of the sumo place before the basho, before the fighters enter that day, and then you can see them all walk through. It's really cool. Good question, Joseph. Thanks for leaving it. Appreciate it. All right, more questions, which I'm not even preparing for. Zachary Thompson asked, JAXA, JAXA, is at the forefront of a lot of space missions. So that's the Japanese Space Agency, folks, and has a really good rocket launch program. Does JAXA get the respect or notoriety in Japan like NASA in the US or CSA in Canada? I would say absolutely yes. The Japan, the space administration thingy here, JAXA, don't even know what to call them officially. But I know, for example, like I teach at an international school, and there was a group of our junior high school students actually went up to Tokyo to visit their offices and their training facility, and got to experience a lot of amazing things, kind of like a weekend space camp. I wish I could have done that, but I'm an elementary school teacher. I'm not involved in the junior high school. Jealous? Yeah. So no, it absolutely does get tons of respect here. And I mean, the rocket launches get lots and lots of media here. The kids I teach in elementary school are very excited about the Japanese space program, and yeah, it's definitely a very well respected thing here, and people find it very cool. Ben asked a question. Training via online videos is super common for many healthcare professions in Japan. Does Japan operate the same way, or would they be absolutely shocked if someone made them watch an online video as training for their job? Okay, as far as online training goes in Japan, I'm going to assume, I'm going out on a limb here. Those of you out there listening who may know more than me, correct me. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that online training is not something common. Even online learning is something, we are trying to introduce in my international school, Khan Academy this year. And Khan Academy is an amazing learning tool where you can do like online learning for free. And we were introducing that as a learning tool for mathematics. And, that was something that a lot of Japanese parents had a lot of trouble wrapping their heads around, the idea of having online learning. Again, I'm going to throw, just because, we talked about this in the last episode of the podcast, the Japan myths, about how Japan isn't as high-tech as you might think it is. And I'm going to go that way with online training as well. I'm going to assume it's not very common here whatsoever. So yeah, that's what I think. If I'm wrong, please correct me, guys. Send me a message, email me at justjapanpodcast@gmail.com, or make a comment on the Facebook page or something like that. Let me know. James over at the ALT Insider asked me, best chain Japanese food restaurant in Japan. Japanese food restaurant? Like if it's fast food? The Japanese fast food restaurant, the best chain I'm going to say is Moss Burger. Best quality food, tastiest food. Portions are too small, but it's tasty. For fast, kind of like Japanese fast food in a pinch, I'm going to say Sukiya. I like Sukiya. I haven't been there in many years, but I think that would be it. For sushi, I don't know what you have up in other parts of Japan, but like down here in the Kansai area, there's a place called Karazushi. Karazushi is a fun kaiten sushi place, conveyor belt sushi place that kids love, and so do I. Karazushi. Oh, it's great. We're going to go there later this week. My son's graduating from kindergarten, and it's his favorite place in the whole world, his favorite restaurant, so we're going to take him there to celebrate his graduation from kindergarten.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
All right, folks, that does it for another episode of the Just Japan podcast. Everything you want to know about Japan. My name is Kevin O'Shea. I'm a Canadian. I live right here in beautiful Kobe, Japan. And each week I make this podcast for you awesome folks because you rock. Of course, you can always find me on Twitter at JLandKev, on Facebook, Facebook.com/JustJapanStuff. On Instagram at JLandKev. Find me on YouTube at BusanKevin. All these links will be in the show notes at JustJapanStuff.com. Plus a ton of other really cool Japan-related content at JustJapanStuff.com. Go check it out. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to the podcast, to download the podcast. Oh, one thing I do want to mention. This was mentioned to me by a couple of listeners about the interview portions of the podcast recently. You'll notice a volume differentiation between myself and the guest where my volume is lower. I'm sorry about that. Trying to figure out how to remedy that. Basically did a software update on my Skype call recording software. And after I did the update, that's what's going on. Pre-update, voice levels were, the sound levels were even between myself and the interviewee. Did an update of the software, and now it's a bit mixed up. I don't know why. Well, hopefully we can figure things out in the next few weeks. All right, folks, you guys are awesome as heck. Remember, you can support this podcast by sharing it with your family, your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers, or just sharing it off into the interwebs on Twitter, on Facebook. Talk about it, share it, spread the word of the Just Japan podcast, get more people listening to this show. It's you guys who make it happen, and it's you guys who can make it happen even more. All right, guys, that's it for another week of the podcast. My name's Kevin. I'll be talking to you guys soon, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you're happy, hope you're healthy, and I'll be talking to you real soon.
What?